Hello again, Steve here with a few comments on something that came to me today. I've had people before ask me why, even though I focus on I talk about sometimes this thing I call it order of creation, why do I not spend time on the God topic very much? Now, for those of you who haven't heard what I mean by this order of creation, it goes something like this. Human beings, if we were to imagine ourselves as all equal, for just common everyday discussion sense, we have our differences, of course, but say we're created equal, right? So there'd be men and women all lined up if the horizontal meant equal, right? We could say there's that which creates us, right? I mean, for the simple reason that we can see that we create all kinds of stuff. We build houses, we create stories, we create governments and businesses and all kinds of stuff. We create all that. All of that would be below us if below was to represent what we create, right? And I like to extrapolate things to say if we can keep going down in creation, then maybe there's a trickle down to us as well from what we could call that which creates us. Call it nature, call it whatever you want. Now, to me, I'm okay with leaving it at that. I mean, that's the rationale, right? That's the rationale that I have, is that since we are created, then there's that which creates us. So why don't I spend a lot of time on this that which creates us thing then? The reason I don't more and more now, I mean, there was a time when I did more so, right? More and more now, the reason I do is because I just had this idea recently that if I'm to say, as many people do, is that it's, the God the Father or Zeus or whatever, or have a whole storyline and so on, I would be saying that I am greater than God, right? Obviously, right? Because all of that which I'd be talking about is fabrication. The whole works. I mean, even people who say they have, witnessed miracles and all this sort of stuff, it's all happening in their individuated experience, as far as I can gather. So it's all a figment of one's being alive. So that means created, right? If I create something, then I'm above it. So for me to create a concept called God, then I'm bigger than God. I'm above God. I'm above God in the order of creation of that relationship. Just like if I create a birdhouse, the creative aspect of that birdhouse that I created, I am above that birdhouse. Now, so I think it's enough. It's just enough as a concept. It's a concept where I use the concept more or less of this creator relationship in terms of us is just a sense of gratitude, right? If there's any value in being alive, it's like, okay, I didn't create me, but I'm having fun anyway. So there's a sense, it's an attitude of gratitude, but it's not personally directed or something like that, because otherwise I'm just fabricating shit. Also, the reason why I don't spend a lot of time on it is because I don't have time, man. Like, life is so exciting, and I'm still trying to figure out me, right? And how to maximize what I can do in life and where I can, connect with people, create, enjoy, become better, become more effective, and all that sort of stuff. So that's why I don't spend much time in it. Is I just have, if I was to think of, if I was to sort of get it at some point that I did actually, if this God, deity, whatever creator was to speak to me directly and say, hey, thanks for, or it's great that we created you or whatever. Even then, if I was to be logical about it, it's like, hey, I've been given this whole tool bag of faculties and potential and so on. Why the hell would I go trying to figure out something that was even, advanced over me? Why would I do that when I haven't even figured out the toolbox yet? It's like if I had this giant, toolbox of wrenches and so on, and I haven't even looked at half them, and yet I'm trying to figure out what factory in China made them. I mean, how'd that make any sense, right? I mean, sure, if I knew everything about them and I got them all working and I fixed every little engine and everything in the world, then hey, yeah, I'm already relaxed, retired, and so on. Yeah, I go take a journey back to China and so on. But I ain't there yet, and may never be there because my life is so full of trying to do my best to communicate and learn how to speak, learn how to read, and all these sorts of things, right? How to eat properly, exercise, keep myself in shape, talk to others, smile more, remember people's names. There's so many things to improve upon rather than trying to figure out what I don't even know. I mean, it's like um, completely uncharted waters, right? I mean, and of course, all the stories that I'm told when I really think about it, are just complete fabrications that somebody made up, and then a whole shitload of people just joined into the mantra of this old book and so on, and which to me is nonsense because it's just a distraction from getting on with life. It's a couple of things. I think it's a distraction. We're doing ourselves a disservice because we're wasting time in what we could develop in ourselves, and if we're given these gifts by creation, by life, whatever, and we ignore them because we're trying to figure out what gave us those, it's a disservice to us, it's a disservice to our fellow man, and it's really a shame, I think. And for me, it's enough just to say thank you and get on with what I'm thankful for, right? It's like thank you for these wonderful, thank you for these legs, thank you for the air I'm breathing, thank you for the ability to speak, and then stop speaking, or stop using the legs, or stop exercising, or stop trying to improve what was given, right? It's like, imagine if you built, I don't know, a robot or something, and you built the robot to do something. You put all these faculties in it, and all of a sudden the robot sits down and tries to figure out you. It's like, hey, I made you for a certain reason. Get on with it. Build some cars or something. So I think that it's a bit of a distraction to keep on looking into the sky, into magical sky ghosts and all kinds of stuff that we fabricate, which are really down below us because we've created them. We've created these concepts, and they don't have any basis in reality as far as I can see in terms of measurability or anything like that. So that's why I would say, I had this saying, in order to find God, you must be bigger than God, right? Because to find God is to then define God. So yeah, that's what God is. So put God in a box, and then God becomes our creation, made in the image and likeness of us. And it's just a giant waste of time, and it's a disservice to ourselves, a disservice to others, and it's certainly a disservice to our children if we're parents to go telling them that stuff, because it's like I mean, it's like ghost stories, right? It could freak the hell out of them, and it confuses them, and it separates them from their empiricism for sure. And that to me is a disservice, and it's a lie, right? We're lying to ourselves, we're lying to our kids if we think for a minute that we can figure out what created us while at the same time we can't really figure out ourselves. That doesn't make any sense. I could give somebody credit who really, for some reason, unknown, unhuman thing to do, has actually figured themselves out. And then they start looking, maybe. But I haven't met anybody. I sure as hell haven't figured myself out. So to think that I can figure out what created me when I can't even figure myself out yet is just absolutely preposterous. So I've got a lot of work to go. I'm going to work on the created rather than trying to figure out the creator. Just be grateful for the creator, for the creative process, and get on with being honest and working on the living, right? Look, working on myself and my relationships with others, and forget largely about the creations of others, and allow other people to do what they want to do, and forget about the banters of other people as to what's right and what's wrong and what's best for me and what's best for the country and best for this and best for that. And a lot of it's just fabrications and shit people make up, which is just I don't know, expressed childhood traumas or something like that. But there's just so much to do in the here and now, rather than to worry about before lives and after lives and the up aboves and the gods and all this sort of stuff. There's the here and now, and it's really, really special, extremely precious. And there's only this moment and the moments that we have left. So I think time is valuable because time is an experience of life. Let's lap it up, folks, and do our best. Steve here again. Great chatting. Talk again soon. Bye for now.